Hinduism across the world has gotten a pretty bad reputation. And honestly, I feel that is the case because it's not understood deeply enough as intended, even by the very own people practicing it. Most people think it's just another religion, telling story about an all-powerful god or many gods who created the universe, performs miracles, and stars in some pretty epic stories. So, naturally, we are supposed to crowd into temples, worship the divine, enjoy the cool festivals and colorful culture, and somewhere along the way end up killing each other because, well, their version of God wasn't the same as ours. Now, all of this to an extent is correct. But underneath all of these assumptions lies the fact that Hinduism provides the deepest understanding of the fundamental nature of reality through the Advaita Vedanta philosophy. Advaita Vedanta asks us to look at reality using logic, self inquiry, and eventually a deep personal realization. And here's the wildest part. This idea have survived thousands of years of debate, relentless criticism, and full-on intellectual warfare, and it's still standing, quietly waiting for someone to finally disprove it. So, yeah, it might just be the most incredible thing if you manage to get it. So, let's dive deep into Advaita Vedanta as described by some of the most brilliant sages of ancient India. The idea that somehow managed to calm my restless overthinking brain. Brahman. Let me take a small guess. The moment I said Brahman, your brain went. Sanskrit? Really? Are we gonna talk in big, difficult, unpronounceable words? Well, no, not really. We are not doing textbook blabbering here. So, no chanting mantras by a white-bearded dude who have renounced his life. We will understand this through pure understanding and realization. So, let's begin. Do this one thing with me. Close your eyes for 1 second. Don't think and don't analyze. Don't even let a single thought enter your brain. Just notice this one simple thing that you are here. Not your body or your thoughts, just you being and existing. Remember this. Lock this somewhere and keep this feeling locked for now. Because that's the doorway to Brahman. We all live with an assumption so obvious that we never question it. I am a person inside a body, and the world exists out there. Well, fair enough. But here's the real question nobody asks. How do you know anything exists at all? Not what exists. Like, we know a pen exists because we can see it, feel it, and use it. Same goes for our minds and body. But what is the basis of something's existence? How is existence itself possible? Pretty absurd thought, right? Because before anything can be seen, thought, or experienced, it must first exist. So, what is this thing called existence? Look around yourself. You will see objects in different shapes and different sizes, all sharing one single thing existence. It's not the properties of these objects that make them exist. These things just are. Interesting. Advait uses a method called Neti Neti to teach us what Brahman is. Sounds fancy, but means something very simple. Neti Neti means not this, not this. Meaning, Brahman is not whatever you can feel or think about. Whatever you are imagining Brahman to be, it's not this, not this. Let's use it together slowly in a simple exercise. My body exists. Well, Brahman is not your body. My thought exists. Again, Brahman is not your thoughts. Even emptiness exists. For even us to think about emptiness, it has to exist. Hence, Brahman is not even emptiness. Why? Because everything you can point to is an object, and Brahman is not an object. It cannot be seen, held, or thought about, because it is the very fact that anything can be seen, thought, or held at all. Here's the line that makes it click really fast. Brahman is not something that exists. Instead, Brahman is that because of which the existence of anything itself is possible. It's not a creator sitting somewhere. It's not a cosmic person or a supermind running the universe like software. It doesn't really do anything. Just like space doesn't create objects, it allows them. Or light doesn't create colors, it reveals them. Hence, Brahman doesn't create existence, it is existence itself. Advait calls this Sat Chit Anand in a sophisticated way, but in an easy way, Sat just means pure existence. Not this thing exists, not that thing exists, only just existence, period. Before time, before space, before cause, Sat is already there. But existence is never experienced alone. There is no moment where existence is present and awareness is absent. How can something exist without it being evident that it exists? That pure awareness is Chit. And the last thing is Anand, and that just means wholeness. Like nothing is missing or nothing is divided. Only quiet peace we feel before falling asleep or after deep meditation or in moments of awe. That's not an emotion, that's the bliss of just existing. Back to the same doorway we started with to explore Brahman. Now answer this slowly. If Brahman is existence itself and you exist, if Brahman is awareness itself and you are aware, where exactly are you separate from Brahman? This is why reality is non-dual, not two, hence the word Advait. Now you might be thinking, alright, I get Brahman, cool philosophy, but so what? Here's the so what. If Brahman is all that there is, then whatever you think you know about the real world is not ultimately correct. That does not mean the world is fake, or that you are imagining, or some science fiction bullshit. It exists, don't worry. It's there, pretty evidently, like we talked about. But it is not what it appears to be. This is where Maya comes in. Maya means Brahman appearing as Prakriti or material world, not deliberately, not maliciously, not as a hoax, just appearing. The problem is not the appearance. The problem is ignorance, avidya. It's a type of ignorance that has no known beginning and that exists within Brahman only. Ignorance makes the appearance seem independent and separate. Advait philosophers give a beautiful example to explain this more clearly. Let's suppose you are walking at night and it's completely dark. Then you see something on the ground and you scream, "Snake!" Your heart races, fear appears, anxiety, sweat, fight or flight. But that's just a rope you are mistaking for a snake. Now pause and ask carefully, did a snake actually appear? Well, no, snake has nothing to do with this. Or did the rope become a snake? Well, also no, the rope was just there. So, did darkness' intention was to scare you? No, it was just being itself. So, there was only a rope, always. The snake was never created. It was rope appearing as a snake due to ignorance. When someone shines a light and says, "Relax, it's just a rope," what happens? The rope doesn't change. Darkness is still there. Your eyes still see the same snake shape. But fear disappears instantly. Why? Because knowledge destroys ignorance. Not by changing the world physically, but just by correcting your understanding. Here, the Brahman is the rope, and the snake is fear, bondage, anxiety, suffering, etc. etc. Hence, Maya is not something added to Brahman. Maya is Brahman, misunderstood. And when you clearly see all there is Brahman, you don't escape the world. You don't disappear into Himalayas. You don't just stop living. You simply stop being deluded by it. That is moksha, total freedom. It's not going to heaven or destroying the world. It's just freedom from ignorance. You will still walk in the dark. You will still see the snake. But you are aware that it's just a rope. And that knowing is enough. Fear then has no fuel. Anxiety has no base. And bondage, it collapses. This is why Hindu philosophy is not escapism. It doesn't deny your suffering. It just gives clarity inside it. There is only Brahman appearing as everything. Ignorance makes the one into many. Pretty cool, right?